Well, hello everyone. Hey, I want to tell you about this new exciting item that we got. It's called Cece, and it's a little portable pruning chainsaw type cutter. Check this out. It's got a cover on it. It's actually a chainsaw. It's got a guard, a safety guard, and there's a bunch of items it comes with. Look, it comes in this nice case, hard plastic case. It's got the instructions, the charging cable that you plug into the back of the batteries, and you charge them up. And there's a light indicator on here that tells you when it's charged. When it goes from red to green, it's ready to go. And we've already pre-charged these. They only took about an hour a piece to charge. I don't know how long it would take if you completely discharge one to recharge it. Probably 2 to 2.5 hours, I would imagine. There's a cleaning brush here, so you can kind of, clean off your chain. There's also a rat tail file for sharpening the chain. There's a screwdriver here included. There's an oil applicator. There's no oil in it, but I have some, so we're going to oil this up before we actually try it.
Wow, that's a good thing. You know what I'm thinking about this saw? Let me give you a moment to breathe.
Yeah.
So he's so excited. Like, wow, coming out the gate. I want to tell you, I'm excited about this too, because the big pole saw is hard for me to use. So this is going to be an easier way for me to be able to do some stuff as well. The one thing I'll say so far that I've noticed about these batteries, though, is there's no indicator on them to let you know how charged they are. I just wanted to point that out. Usually there's a little indicator you can hit that would tell you.
Yeah, so when you run out, you just run out and you get the other one, you switch them out.
Yeah, so it's a good thing it comes with two.
Yes.
All right, what other little goodies you got here?
All right, continuing on here. We have a tool here that fits the chain, so you can tighten it or you can change them out. Getting to the change them out, they included an extra chain. And it's in an oil packet, so it's lubricated and ready to go. That's pretty cool. I also like the fact that the chain comes on the tool, so you don't have to put it on. It's not hard to put on. You just remove the nut, remove this, put the bar on with the chain. You got to kind of give it some tension. It takes 2 hands, and then you can tighten it up. But they're easy to do. And then it comes with some protective gear.
Safety.
Safety first, and then some goggles.
Very important for those goggles, because you got to protect those eyes.
Protect the old holes. And then here we go. I'm just going to see if it fires up. And it has a little light indicator.
Nice.
These are 21-volt batteries, so these are pretty powerful. I'm pretty impressed with the speed already. I was like, wow, I'm excited. I want to go cut some stuff.
It sounds like it has some power. I know, you're so excited.
That's a pretty neat little tool. Very handy, and I can definitely see this around the house, around the fire pit. Like you got to cut stuff down to size.
Yes.
Perfect for that. And we have little trees and limbs that we want to, trim up to where you can just reach. Perfect for that.
We have a lot of work for this little guy.
Yeah, it's a grab and go. You don't have to get out the big chainsaw for a lot of the smaller stuff.
So are we going to get a fire pit and make s'mores?
We are.
Is that what I was hearing?
I do want to get a fire pit. We haven't done that yet, but it is on the list.
Sweet.
But I've got a bunch of brush out there that we can cut on and see how this does. You want to go see how it works?
I'm excited to see.
Let's go.
All right, I'll follow you.
Okay, look, we filled up our bottle with some bar oil, so we're going to go ahead and lubricate the chain. I've already tightened the chain. You should be able to pull down on it just a little bit. Couple 2 to 3 millimeters is all you need, but not so much that it's sagging. So I did that, and then this doesn't have a reservoir, so it's just a manual lubrication. So we just pour a little oil on the chain like so. I'll just do both sides, and what we'll do is we'll just kind of brush it around, smooth it out. And then you can pull the chain and then get the rest of it. It's good to get both sides. Since it's brand new and it's never been oiled, I'll go ahead and get both sides real quick. Doesn't take a lot. The oil will spread out for the whole chain. And this is actual bar oil, so it's sticky. And it'll want to stick to the chain. And that's the kind of oil you should use. I know some people will put used motor oil on your chainsaws. it's not really designed for that, and it'll go through the oil faster because that oil is not meant to stick to the chain. It'll just sling off and not protect the chain. So bar oil is what you want to be using because it's designed to be sticky. Well, we got some sticks down in the bottom, and we're gonna go see how it works.
All right.
All right. All right, I'm ready to cut some stuff. So I pulled an older tree limb out that had fallen off of a tree that I had thrown down the hill. I pulled it back up here.
That thing's big.
It was big, and the grass had grown around it, so it took quite a tug. But let's get back to this Cece saw and see if it works. Okay, that was probably a one inch cut. Took about 4 seconds.
That was fast.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to get this place cleaned up with this thing.
I want to see what it does to this big part. But we'll cut a few of these small ones first. Wow.
That does
cuts
pretty
really
good.
Easy, yeah. We'll cut a few more here. I also like how this gives way. It doesn't get in the way. You think it's going to get in the way, but it doesn't because it just rides with the log.
That's a nice feature.
It is nice, and it keeps things from bucking up into your face.
Right.
All right, I'm going to cut on this big one.
Oh, here's the real
big
test.
test.
The big reveal here.
You have to lift up on it where it binds and saw.
Wow.
It did really good, and that's a good 3 to 4 inch
Wow.
cut right there. Now this is a dry log. It'll work a little harder on green stuff, but I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I can see this being very handy, and it's very lightweight.
Me too. I'm excited because we kind of have a big mess here to clean up. When it gets a little cooler within the next month, we're going to be busy cleaning up.
I just have one suggestion, really, if future models, maybe put some kind of thing on here where you can hang it from a tool belt.
Oh, yeah.
Or from your pocket or your jeans or whatever, so you can hang it, grab a hammer, and do whatever, and then if you need it, you grab it, you pull it out.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So that's my only recommendation. Otherwise, I love it. I think it's great.
I think also a recommendation of that battery indicator light that you can press and see how charged it is.
Yeah, that would be a nice feature. Or they could put it on the device itself
Somewhere.
instead of on each battery, as long as it would read the voltage to the battery that's on there. But yeah, they could do that.
Yeah, and that thing is nice and light. I like that. Hopefully the batteries last, and they did give you 2, which is nice.
Yes.
And it's very affordable.
Yep.
I think it's around $40.
Yep, and we'll pin the link in the comments so you guys can take advantage of it. I think it's a great idea, and if you're into pruning stuff and you're comfortable around a device like this, it's definitely a good buy.
I think I'm going to start using that instead of my loppers.
Yeah, I'm going to finish cutting this up right now.
All right. You're just way too excited with your new toy.
I like it.
That is good. I like to see you smiling.
Hello everyone. So we're doing another DIY project. We've been working on these for a while, but we haven't done a whole lot of videos on it because, quite frankly, it's been kind of boring. You go in there and you cut some trees up. But these are interesting because I want to show a couple things that we got going on here. So we're going to be using a chainsaw, obviously. So here's the tool of the trade. And then, I've got hearing protection, eye protection, gloves, all that. So right here, look at these trees right here. So these trees, and you can see there's actually 3 or 4 of them here, but this is the type of tree that I don't like. It got transplanted or brought over to the States in 1803, but its native land is China and Thailand, and they're invasive here. They grow and they drop these pods and they keep multiplying. On the other side of the garage, I have a whole forest of them. I don't know what I'm going to do about them because I don't know that if I cut them, if anything would be left. So I'm not really concerned about them at this moment. I'll attack that some other time. But we've taken out a few of these already along here that I don't want them to get out of control, because they get out of control fast. They're like a weed. These things at full size get 80 feet tall and 60 feet wide. They're ginormous, if that's a word. This would apply to this situation. So I don't want these getting out of control. I want to get them while they're younger, before they're a whole lot of work. Now, when you cut them, the stump, they like to shoot off little shoots. But those you can kind of deal with pretty quickly with a weed eater, or, you know, with some snips or whatever. So it's easy work. But this becomes work when they get this big. And then what's going to eventually happen is they're going to get so big and they start to lean toward the sun. They start to lean out over the road, and then they'll start to droop. Like I've got one up here on the curve of the road. That's one I'm going to take. It's a pretty big one. It's actually probably already 40 feet tall. So I'm going to follow that one across the road, and I'm going to use the Jeep and the winch to drag the tree back over here, and then we'll cut it up and throw it down in the hole. So right down in the hole here we have kind of a burn pile going on where the trees go to die. At some point we might be able to burn them, but we're not going to do that today or even right now. So I got 2 trees on the over by the road I want to take, and then I want to take this tree out, that tree out, and then there's a third one right there. I'll re-look at the canopy and see if it can stay or if it needs to go. We do have a full-grown one over here that I'm not going to try to take that one. I think it's far enough away from the house. It's not a problem. It's already a mature tree, so it would be a lot of work to take that tree. That thing's this big around at the base, so I'm not going to deal with that. It's far enough away. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's an ugly tree, and it's invasive. That's the key word. It's invasive. In other words, they grow like weeds, and they grow all over the place. So we're trying to nip these ugly Chinese trees in the bud. I don't like them. They're just, they don't really, the roots don't really cause any damage that I was reading about them, but they're just notoriously invasive, and they can just multiply like, they can get away from you, and that's all you have, and it'll choke out all the other trees. Because we had a couple of dogwood trees in here that can get more light now that I've taken those out of the way. Here's a redbud tree that will, you know, be vibrant, and it actually produces a pretty flower. So does the dogwood tree. So I forget what these are even called, but they're invasive. I don't want them, and we're gonna get rid of them. So that's our plan. We're probably just gonna do 2 or 3 today. We just do a few at a time because it does get hot. It's hard work, and it's hard on our bodies. So without further ado, I'll show you what we're gonna do over here. We did this before. We had the Jeep hooked up, and we did a winch over the roof to harness to so I could paint the chimney. We're kind of going to do the same thing, but this time we're just using it to grab the tree. Because what we're trying to do, the bigger picture is that we're trying to clean up the woods. And so there'll be some trees that I down and I cut up and just leave them in the woods to rot, but I'm kind of trying to minimize that as much as I can. This one's going to fall across the road, so we could cut it up there and then walk the pieces down here and throw them in this pile that we got going on, or we can use the winch and lasso the tree and bring it up and then just drag it over here and cut it up. That's a little less work. You don't have to walk back and forth with these big pieces of wood. I don't cut it up into little pieces. I cut it up like that and then take the big pieces and just throw it down the hill. So the first order of business is to cut this tree. Alright, we already have a tree dropped here. There's a little miscommunication, so we didn't get it videoed, but we got another couple trees to drop. This is probably the biggest one though. So we're gonna hook up the we gotta look and see. I don't think there's poison ivy on this tree. This is all Virginia creeper, so I think we're okay with the poison ivy part of it. So what we're going to do now is hook this winch up to it. I'm going to hand the camera off. I might have to cut a piece or two off of this because when we pull it, it's going to hit the stump and it's going to get caught up. Let me get the saw. So that works out pretty well. We still have a few pieces of the tree that broke off on the pivot, but we just have to pick them up by hand and bring them over and cut them up. So that's kind of what we do next. I think the blade could use a sharpening. But I want to take the saw in and get a tune-up on it anyway. It uses a lot of gas. I think it's running rich. It's an older model, the 028. These are the old ones. The newer ones are more economical, earth-friendly, and all that garbage. This is a beast though. It'll cut anything. When that blade is sharpened, it goes through these big trees like butter. But right now it needs sharpened up. I want to get a tune-up on the whole thing. And this is as tight as I can get this chain right now. So I need to get a link taken out and have it adjusted. I mean, I do know how to do all that, but sometimes it's just, you spend $20 or $30, I give it a full tune-up. Plus in some places on this saw, it's missing some screws, so I want them to fix that too. So I bought the saw used for 150 bucks. I think I've already got my money out of it. So now I think it just needs a good tune-up. So it is a little humid out here today, so I sweat a lot anyway. But my glasses get to where they're just dripping and I can't see out of them. And the sun comes and goes, so you never know if you got sun, you don't have sun. So now all we do is we just take these pieces and just toss them over the embankment. Another thing they have a lot here, they have a lot more of these in Florida, but all these vines, and a lot of them are poison ivy. This one's not. So I always wear gloves anyway. You never know when you might brush up against some poison ivy and then realize after the fact, oh crap, that's poison ivy. Because there is a lot of ivy here. So, not as much as was Otter Creek, had a lot of poison ivy. But we knew where it all was. I know some of y'all may be thinking, well, why don't you split it up and use it as firewood? Yes, we can. But our plan is to not be here in the winter time. Another thing, when you're splitting up wood and you're starting a fire, it takes a good, probably 20 or 30 minutes to get a good fire going. And then it takes a little while to heat the house up. And then when you're ready to go to bed, you got to put it out. So, although it seems like something I would be all into, free firewood, right? I'm all about it. But it's also a hassle here for the short season. Now, in Alaska, I had an outdoor wood burning stove, so all the wood was split and cut outside. None of it came in the house. And I put it in this big open boiler, which was, about waist high. You open the door, you have it all piled there because you've already cut it for the whole season. Because you don't want to be out there in January, it's 20 below zero and you're splitting and cutting wood. I've done it, but it's not fun. So you get the wood, you throw it in the furnace, you close it. Now you got to do that probably twice a day, because if it runs out, then it goes out and it's hard to get started again. But that's an outdoor wood boiler. It has an air injection system, so when it calls for heat, it's fan injected and it blows the fire and it makes it start up. And then when the house reaches temperature, it's got a control zone on it, a control valve, and it closes the valve and it smokes the fire pit out. Therefore, the water, now everything's a lag. If you heat up to 70 degrees, it's going to take a couple of hours for the hot water to go back down or to be cut off from warming the house. So there's a lag time involved in all that. So it was a lot of work. I went through about 30 cords a winter in Alaska. Now here you could get by with probably 5 to 10 cords. It really doesn't get that cold here, and it's not a sustained cold. Like it could be we never hit -5 last winter. I think 8 degrees was the coldest it got. Now, so 10 degrees, and then you're trying to warm up the house, to 60? Yes, you can do it. And yes, there's free wood. There's other stuff, though, that needs to be involved if I was to heat this home. Is one, we have to be home. Two, I have to get a chimney sweep. And the flue is screwed shut, so I have to get that opened up and serviced, and I don't even know what's in there. We know what a squirrel's nest is down in there and some other stuff. So there would be some more maintenance involved to get this chimney into operating order where I put a fire in it. But not to say we can't do it. And there's plenty of trees here. This isn't really a desirable wood burning tree, and you don't want to burn green wood anyway because it's going to smoke everywhere. So bringing wood into the house, it is labor intensive. It is a mess. You have to clean up the ash and the sawdust and all that. And you need to split it down to pretty small sizes. So we don't have a wood splitter. We'd have to get a wood splitter. There's another expense. So all in all, I think the winters are too short to worry about it. And we're not planning on being here all the winter. We may be here part of the winter. But yeah, so having said all that, you just got to kind of weigh everything and decide if you want to do that or not. Maybe a little off topic, but I wanted to talk about the whole firewood thing. So these can just roll down the hill, and there's kind of a little flat area right there, and then it drops off again. It's sitting in this area doesn't really bother me. It's all below ground level. You can't see it from the road, so it's not unsightly to anybody but us, really. And it just looks like a pile of brush. Another thing it does, though, is it attracts the deer. The deer like to come and vegetate on this freshly cut leaves for whatever reason. So we had 5 deer in here yesterday, didn't we? 5 deer. See, these are part of that same tree. See how fast they grow? But here you can just break them off. But they're growing right off of a stump. Let me show you down here. one was cut the other day. And what it does is it'll open up. And this is a dogwood tree. This is a good tree. You want this tree. It's pretty. You can see it from the porch. There'll be flowers on it. So I want the sun to get max growth on this tree. So that's why I wanted to clear that off. So there's a big tree that came down. There's another one that came down. And there's another dogwood tree. I think this is a dogwood tree. It's a little harder to tell because it's still really young. But it looks very similar. We keep that tree. I'm gonna get some more of these. I'm gonna call them Chinese trees because that's where they come from. But they're a mess. And one tree makes 5, 10 more. Hi. Well, see, that's what's nice. Neighbors drive by, they say hi. Love it. Great place to live. But some of the smaller stuff, you can just throw it in the tree line. It'll break down. We just try to minimize some of that because we want to kind of clean this out and thin it out a little bit so you can see down in there. These will break down pretty fast. I'm not worried about those. We still got a mess here to clean up. So we'll continue doing this and we'll come back in again when we down that other tree. Going over there.
I'm having some Shady Oaks PTSD.
Shady Oaks PTSD, she says, if he can't hear. Yeah, she's pulling a lot of these vines off of the tree. This tree right here, although it's not pretty, it's not one of the invasive trees we're trying to get rid of, although it might be in the way later. It's a slower growing tree, so it's manageable. But all those vines were so wrapped around this tree, you didn't even know there was a tree. It was a vine tree.
It reminds me of cleaning out the back of the campground when we were expanding it.
Yeah, the back 40. I call it the back 40, yeah.
I cleaned all that by hand with these.
We called it the back 40 because the address was 440. So we called it the back 40. Of course, that's a common term in the military too. When you go to the field, it's the back side of the post. They call it the back 40. I know at Fort Campbell they called it the back 40. So it stuck with me. This is our back 40.
We call it our back thorny.
Back thorny. There you go. Well, it's a mess, and there's still more of these trees. I took out about, most were 2 to 4 inches in diameter. A couple of them were smaller than that. And I took out about 6 or 8 of them right here. But there's some we're just not going to get to. Like, see this big tree right here that forks and then it goes way up? It's about 80 feet tall. Well, that's it at full grown. I'm not cutting that. That's a mess. And as soon as I cut into it, I'm liable, and there's a power line here. Now, I think it would fall down the hill, but you can't be certain. And once you cut into it, you're liable. So I'm not touching it. But it's there, and I hate it. This one may just die in place because it's starting to drop limbs, and it can drop limbs right here. It's not going to hurt anything. I'll just pick it up as it goes along. But that tree's more work than I signed up for. Just stepped in a hole. So here's another one. I didn't get this one, but look, there's another one. Look how big. All the way down. In fact, all of these are the same thing. The trees that you see all the vines growing on, same tree. Right here, same tree. Now you got a mix of trees here. But yeah, you got a couple of them twined in there. Now once you get here, you're on the neighbor's property. So I'm at the far edge of our property here. So these trees are not really sure which property they're on. Although I have permission to cut anything I want over here. Except for those trees in the front yard. Obviously I wouldn't cut those. But they're too big to wrestle with. They're not bothering me so much. But we do want to get rid of these smaller ones so they don't get bigger. And then we'll just try to manage the big ones as they die off. But yeah, it's a mess. And then you got the vines. This is the worst vine area, though, on the entire property. Is this spot right here. Yeah, there's not too many vines throughout the rest of the property. There's here and there. But this is just a nest of vines. And it just makes the property look unclean, unkept. And it was, for the most part, unclean and unkept as far as landscaping goes. So look at all this. See, vines. Now these are vines we've already pulled and they're dying. And they'll eventually go into the ground and disappear, but it's a mess. Look at all this. And you got poison ivy on this one. So that's poison ivy mixed in with trumpet vine. But you want to see poison ivy? I can show you poison ivy up close, buddy. Let me zoom in. See the leaves of 3, let them be. Poison ivy all day. Right in the middle of that tree. So, and there's some on the ground here and there. I haven't seen a lot of it. It's not infested with it. I'm looking for it now and I'm not really seeing any. So, one property marker. So, that's lot 11, 12, the house is on, 13 on the other side, and then this was lot 10, we own this too. And we pretty much own the whole valley there, but we're going to get to it. We're going to clean it up. And we're trying to get the edges first. This is the worst part. So if you get the worst part first, the rest of it, you know, you can... She's got her clippers out. If I was a vine, I'd be scared.
You'd be scared when you see your bill.
My bill, you say?
Yeah, you know how much you would have had to pay somebody to do all that I did at Shady Oaks, clearing that out?
That was sweat equity.
They charge big money for that.
They do. It's sweat equity. She's vested.
I'm vested?
You're vested.
Oh.
You're approved.
Do I get a 401k?
Yeah, you didn't see it?
No.
It's in the mail.
Oh.
You know how the mail is.
Not so good since I don't work there anymore.
All right. They're one hard worker down. Not what they needed.
I'm sure there are lots of hard workers down these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard workers at the post office for sure. I mean, you really don't have a choice. If you're working there, you're working hard. Unless you're taken under the wing.
There's some that work there that don't work hard.
Yeah, there's certain dippy doodles that are protected by management so they don't work too hard. But I guess that happens everywhere. Continuing on working here.